Live from my mother's kitchen table, it's the Joe and Joe Weather Show with Joe Rayo, who is not live from my mother's kitchen table, but in fact, he's live from his own kitchen. Well, he's in his office down in his basement. But yes, I am by my mother's kitchen table, Joe.
You're close to me now. Now another 40 or 50 minutes, and you'll be right here. And then we
Yeah,
could do a
you're
and then we could do a show for the first time together next to each other. But I don't think that's socially preferred
no.
at the moment.
Well, we were socially distancing from each other long before it was fashionable to do.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
exactly. Um, yeah. Also, you're up in Petticoat Junction, up to the north.
Well, actually, we're not too far away from Hopewell Junction, but that's a little ways north of here. They're
Where's
still using Uncle Billy's phone service up in that part of the
where's
state.
where's Pixley?
There's Pixley. Yeah.
Did they ever show in the shows like a scene from Pixley? Because
Uh,
they made it sound like it was. Obviously it was a small town, but they made it sound so sophisticated. Oh, we can't get that here. We got to go to Pixley.
Right, right. I think a couple of episodes of Green Acres, Oliver had to go to Pixley to get some legal documentation or whatever, but you never really did see or get the feeling of what Pixley was really like.
Did we ever figure out what state they were in? Because they never
No,
did.
but the only clue was that they were about 300 miles away from Chicago. So
All right,
maybe they were
so
somewhere out in the Midwest somewhere.
well, yeah. And I was just thinking about Bent Fork, Tennessee, which is not. I'm thinking it's probably Nashville's got to be a little bit more than 300 miles from Chicago.
And I think also in
Oh,
the Beverly Hillbillies, they often made a reference to the town of Bug Tussle.
Bug tussle,
Bug Tussle.
but they never said what state though.
No, but they once threatened Mr. Drysdale that they were going to move all of their money to the bank of Bug Tussle.
Good Lord. All right, so here we are on a Thursday, the 1st of October, Joe. We're in the last quarter of the final quarter of 2020. So there's only 3 months left of this abominable year. And
Right.
we actually, weather-wise, everything's pretty, for the most part, everything's pretty quiet tonight across the U.S. There's not a whole lot going on. It's sort of just a nice, quiet autumn evening.
It is. It turned out to be a very nice day today, a nice day to do to mulch in the leaves on the grass and you know to do some outdoor work. And really, right now I looked out the window just before I came down here. Yes, I do look out the window before you know making a weather forecast. And it looks like it's going to cloud up a bit. And maybe a little bit of shower activity, Joe, in the next 12 to 18 hours or a
Yeah,
week.
I put it in for tomorrow morning for a little bit, and then uh, that cool air comes in for Friday and for the weekend, and uh, we don't. I don't see. I really don't see anything major happening. It's just that every couple of days we deal with a weather system. So the one we had one on Tuesday, which was a gangbusters one in terms of rainfall. Tomorrow's going to be minor. And then we wait till Sunday night into Monday afternoon, which looks to be generally minor for the most part. And then we wait to a late Wednesday for what looks like not a half bad looking cold front that will come through. When I say half, from a sense of strength, it looks like that we might get a shot of some chilly air, so some really chilly air for a day or two behind
Right.
that front. And then after that, I have no idea. None.
I saw that AccuWeather came out with their long range forecast today for the winter season.
Okay, so I'm going to say something right now. All right.
Okay.
And I've said this before, so this is not exactly breaking news, but it seems that the usual suspects that every year forecast the snow Armageddons in the Northeast and the cold Armageddons in the Northeast that haven't happened for them in general. Uh, all of a sudden they seem to have gotten, I don't know, you might say they've gotten a sense of religion. They are actually forecasting warmer than normal winter for the East. I know AccuWeather. I read some of it. It's sort of a up and down. They're going like a kind of up and down sort of thing.
Nationwide, they're calling it a two-faced winter.
Okay, well that's
There's some
not.
places are going to get this, and other
Some
places are going to
places are
get
going to
something
get
different.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want the other side of this trade. Okay, I will take the other side of this trade only to be only on the basis of being a contrarian. I'm going to bet that we're going to have a colder than normal and a snowier than normal winter in the Northeast down into the Mid-Atlantic states. Only as a contrary, only to
Okay,
be contrarian,
okay.
and that's it.
All right.
I'm standing. I'm putting your foot down. Okay, and
I'm I
I'm
I
putting your foot down, and I'm standing on it.
all right. Well, that's why I can't get it up.
Uh huh.
You're stepping on my foot. So,
Okay. Well,
all right.
as long as you're talking about your foot, but go on.
Oh, please. Uh,
You opened that door. I did not.
I understand. I said
You
when I
opened that door.
as soon as I said it, I said, "Oh, I shouldn't have said something like that."
Well,
That's
you wouldn't,
to be interpreted in
you'd have so
the
much less respect for me if I just let it go.
yes, yes.
So anyhow, we do have, I think we have the potential for at least one, if not two, tropical cyclones to form in the next week or so. Looks like the Caribbean is going to be the place. I don't think that's breaking news. We've been kind of talking that up the last 3 or 4 days. But for those that are thinking that that automatically means that it's whatever's going to develop is going to go to a Category 5 hurricane, I got breaking news for you. Uh, the um, the upper air and the middle levels of the atmosphere and the lower levels of the atmosphere may not support these systems very well, and we'll get into that in a moment. But I'm going to bring up the Canadian. I love this. This is my new thing, Joe. This Canadian satellite loop. I just love it. It
Okay.
really. We should have started using this a long time ago because you really do get a good sense of the machinery in the atmosphere and how things are working. And that trough in the east is so darn obvious. It not only covers the eastern part of the United States, but you see where the cloud cover is, of course, around the Great Lakes and then on up into southeastern Canada and points northward. But I mean that whole a large chunk of Canada is under the influence of all of this. So this is a fairly this is impressive in my view.
Well, if you want to see something impressive, I mean, I don't want to take away from what you've just pointed out, but I'm still extremely impressed by the mammoth subtropical high in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean that is kind of holding off or staving off any kind of tropical activity, tropical cyclone activity. We spoke about this about a week ago, how this thing was going to grow and flex its muscles, and
Hmm.
it really has put a damper or really has squelched a lot of the potential tropical activity that might otherwise form, even though we're now past the midpoint of the hurricane season and we're on the downside, so to speak. We have seen in recent years October spawn and we may still see that, maybe middle or latter part of the month, especially. But I mean, my goodness, this is a gigantic fair weather high
Well,
at
it
the
also, Joe, the big high in the Atlantic is also coming at a time when the trades are weakening. So you don't have that push with these tropical waves that come off the African coast. The Cape Verde season, for the most part, is done. But
right.
you're going to have to shift your attention west. West, I think, while it's not impossible that something could still develop somewhere out there, but it just probably won't have the push to go eastward, to go westward. But there's a lot of weather going on east of the islands and then into the eastern Caribbean. And also, you've got the weather in the western Caribbean that's already starting to take that look. And I've got the satellite loop up there. But you're right. This Atlantic high is very big. It covers. It goes pretty much from one side to the other. We've been used to seeing this whole summer into early fall where we had this kind of narrow east-west ridge. across the Atlantic. So this is probably as strong. The high has been even stronger than it was during the summer.
Yes,
What
that's my phone, Joe. Don't don't let that throw you
I didn't
off.
even hear it.
Oh, okay.
I heard Mrs. Rayo.
No, that was the little speaker inside of the phone says call from, and it reads off the number off of the.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Call from Hong Kong Gardens. So just back to the tropics. I think you're going to see your primary activity is going to be if you're going to see stuff blossom out. We're going to look pretty much from say 55 or 60 degrees west, and of course, as I said, the Caribbean looks like it's pretty loaded. So that's where pressures are very low. So with the big high out in the Atlantic the way it is, the opposite is occurring in the Caribbean. The pressures across the Caribbean are very low.
Indeed. So we've been talking about the Western Caribbean possibly giving rise to something, and the GFS, in line with that, is suggesting that we will see a flare up out there during the coming days ahead, maybe curving up toward the Yucatan of Mexico. So maybe we will see another system. What's the next storm on the list? Delta or
No, gamma.
Gamma? Okay, I got to
And
learn.
here is the Caribbean satellite. So there's two. The Hurricane Center's talking about both these systems that you see. The one that's in the Eastern Caribbean and just east of the Leeward Islands, and that's going to be moving westward across the Caribbean. But the front and center one is the one that's in the Western Caribbean, and the convection, it's still pretty disorganized. But you do have weak low pressure that's already developed out there, and you're starting to see the thunderstorms, you know, beginning to try to take that sort of circular look, that arc that it likes, that satellite signature, that arc on the satellite
Right,
loop that tells you
right.
something is happening. But again, there are issues here going forward, and we talked about them yesterday. I think they're worth bringing up again today. And for one thing, uh, looking at this, and I got the GFS up, so I'll bring up the Western Atlantic view. So at least at the moment, conditions are favorable, and for some sort of development of a low, whether it's a broad low or something that's tighter, remains to be seen. But there are things that are going on in the upper atmosphere that, as far as the future of this, leave it very uncertain. And for one thing, starting off from this afternoon, this system's in a low wind shear environment. But if you look up in toward the northwest Gulf of Mexico and beyond, we're looking at the atmosphere up at here at like 25,000 feet. There is a trough that is running down from Kansas into South Texas, and you've got these really strong southwest winds in the Gulf of Mexico. And what happens is, Joe, as we go through tomorrow, the upper air winds just north and west of where this surface low is going to develop get pretty strong. And then on top of that, you've got a potential interaction with the Yucatan Peninsula as far as the low is concerned.
Right,
So
that's what I just said. Yeah,
yeah, and that is going to be problematic in terms between the shear that's going to be there and the track that's going to be over, possibly over the Yucatan. You're going to have an issue. Now, if it winds up staying more over the open waters, it's a different story. But the models are all having trouble with this. The other thing is that the general upper flow is very, very weak. There's no real push. When you look, we'll go down the atmosphere just a little bit. I'll take it down to 10,000 feet. Let's look at the 700 millibar. And there's no real push here. You've got your Atlantic high, that's way out, and you see it here on this is on the GFS. So your Atlantic high is way out here. All right. So the last height line is through the Bahamas. There's nothing uh, between that and what represents the tropical system. You've got another back edge of the eastern part of another upper high pushing out through Texas. There's a trough that runs down through the Tennessee Valley to northern Georgia and Alabama. So this thing is kind of stuck in this big no man's land. There's no there's no push from either the ridges that are on either side or the trough to the north is too far north that it can't lift up. So there's no push here. It's just going to, I think it's just going to meander around for at least a few days.
I was just going to say, do you think it's going to wobble or just like, yeah, meander or
Yeah,
dawdle or dawdle? There's a $5 word for you.
dawdle. Oh, very good.
Dawdle.
I'm impressed.
Yes.
The other thing is, and this is a map that you like to use, and that's the 700 to 400 relative humidity map. And
Yes.
the in that area of strong wind shear in the Gulf of Mexico, guess what? It's the air there is bone dry. You're going to have a lot of dry air that's going to get entrained into the circulation of this. So I'm thinking you might have something that is a closed low, but it might not have a purely tropical look because of all the dry air that's on the west side. Now, eventually, over time, next week, the Gulf of Mexico saturates, and you do wind up with a bit of a better environment. On this run, Joe, the GFS takes it down into the southwest Gulf and actually strengthens it gets it down, what is that, a 967 pressure in the longer term. But a lot has to go, there's a lot of things that have to happen here in order for this to wind up becoming let's call it a storm of importance. So we're just going to sort of, I'm just going to punt to the weekend just to see. First of all, let's see what develops and how much, how all these other issues play out. The other thing is, if you look back through here, Joe, you can see uh, this is the second wave. I'm using the representation of the darker blue as where all the relative humidity is. And that's the second wave, which will eventually find its way probably also into the Northwest Caribbean. But how much room is there going to be if you've got on this run, you've got a hurricane in the Southwest Gulf. So I don't know how much room there is here for a second system to develop so close to it, if indeed that is what you're going to have. But if you have something weaker in the Western Gulf, then you may have more room and you could wind up with a second cyclone developing in the Northwest Caribbean. I don't know. I've got my hands up here. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. With not much of a flow, with a lack of any significant flow, most anything can happen. So we might as well just play it by ear and play it by on a day-to-day basis. Although once we get past today, our next day together won't be until Sunday. So maybe by
Correct.
then something will happen.
So for those of you who follow the Hurricane Center on their forecast, that they've got a 70%, 40% in the short range 2 days and 70% in the five. They also mentioned the next system, 0 and 20 are the chances for that, which I'm sure they're probably going. You're going to see these numbers go up or down over the next day or so, depending on what happens with the thing once the low finally starts to form. There's too much here. There's too much here going on with regards to having any kind of. The only thing I will say that you probably could take to the bank is that nothing's going to impact the United States this weekend out of this. I don't think that's a brilliant deduction per se. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So good.
There's not much more. What else can I add?
No, you can't.
we've,
I've said
we've
it
been
all.
we've been spending 5 minutes talking about a potential system which has no place to go because there's no flow and nothing is happening.
Mm,
So we just dwell on it. Like I said, maybe by Sunday we'll have a
yeah.
better handle, better clue on what's going to happen here.
Otherwise, we're trying to stuff 5 pounds of bologna into a 1 pound bag.
Indeed.
All right, so now looking at the long range upper air, of course, the trough in the east, and it stays in the east, and the ridge stays in the west. So that has implications on the kind of weather we'll be seeing here, which will be below average temperatures this weekend and probably through much of next week. This first trough, Joe, finally starts to slowly pull out, but the trough wants to be in the east. So by the middle part of next week, guess what? You got another trough that drops into the east, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, was the fact that this could produce a fairly, let's call it quote unquote decent shot of cool air. for the
Right.
latter part of next week. And then just looking at after that lifts out, I mean, you still have some sense of troughing in the east going into mid month, and it's still there, and even more so toward the end of the period. I mean, the long range on the GFS seems to have changed a little bit with regards to what may happen later in the month. We're back to a deep. I don't know if this holds, but it keeps wanting to put another deep low in the Gulf of Alaska with amplitude. If that happens, the ridge flies back up in the west, and then the trough drops back into the east. So I don't know. Are we going to get warm for the second half of the month?
Supposedly, that's what a lot of the long range outlooks have been suggesting, and they've been saying that the swing date or swing dates will be around the 6th, 7th, and 8th of October, which is about this time next week, right?
All right, well, you know what? They have to see it somewhere. Let's see what the ensembles did earlier today, just for laughs. The new one's coming out, but it won't. It just got started, so we'll look at the old one. And just looking at the new ensembles. Okay, so there's your trough for the end of the week. Then that pulls out. Yeah, I don't know, Joe. I'm looking at this. Uh, the heights are at for a couple of days on the ensembles. The heights to the east go above normal, but you still have higher heights in the west, and eventually in the longer range on the ensembles, the heights just go back to near normal in the east. I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced.
And while you have your attention on the big trough over the eastern United States, I'm also looking on the upper air at what soon should become very powerful Hurricane Marie in the Pacific, which gets very strong and then just as quickly fades very fast.
Don't you
And
love don't you love how that happens out there?
it doesn't even have we were hoping a few days ago it might make a dent in all of the fire problems out in the west coast of the United States, and now it looks like it's not even to contribute one drop of rain to that situation.
Well, I'm going to try to bring the satellite up here from so we can take a look at Maria. So that will be the tropical Pacific. So let's take a look, and there it is on the right. I'll add a few frames so we could at least watch it over the course of several hours. Yeah, I mean it's got that nice classic look to it, Joe. I can't. I still don't see a well-defined eye, but it's probably on its way. And yeah, you got to love it in the Pacific how you get these storms sometimes to become these powerhouses, strong Cat fours or even the occasional Cat five, and then like you said, once it gets north of 20 degrees north, it's cooked because the water's so darn cold. Excuse me. Are you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I'm
Okay.
here.
I'm
I'm
just
here.
I'm looking for the Pacific shot here. Hang on a second. On the GFS. Um, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. And we'll put up the surface map, and I'll roll it back.
As I said, it was showing up very well when we were looking at the or examining the future of the trough in the east a few minutes ago.
Yeah. It
And
just dies. It just literally dies out there. It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
do anything.
it's kind of like somebody let the air out of the balloon very quickly.
Yeah, that's it. And there's nothing else. There's something, who knows with that gyre that's over Central America whether something else could come out of this or not. But yeah, it's not. It's not gonna go get that tropical moisture up into California. So we can lay that to bed. So our forecast and our outlook, by the way, is basically very simple as we take a look at this. So Joe, I went for a shower, maybe a shower or two overnight, early tomorrow morning, and then by late morning, afternoon, decreasing clouds, maybe some increasing breaks of sun late in the day. Dry for Saturday, dry for Sunday. Sunday will have maybe arriving clouds. And then you've got this Styx trough swinging across the Great Lakes, redeveloping low east of the Virginia coast. Little onshore flow Sunday night into Monday afternoon. And then that pulls out. Then it's dry for a day and a half. And then you got another cold front on Wednesday. That brings that quick shot of cold air, and then looks like another cold front next week, late next weekend, if this is correct. So it's I don't know, if you want another soaking rain like we just had, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, no, we had, I mean, I told you yesterday, we had here 2.85 inches, and no, we're not going to see something like that for a while. I mean, yeah, a little bit wet at times, but nothing like what we had with that soaker. And you know, it's a new month, so
Yep.
something to shoot for now.
All right, coming back full screen because weather is pretty quiet tonight. There isn't much going on. There's hardly any watches or warnings anywhere. Take a. I didn't show this yet. I'll bring the screen back up. But let's just go real quick to the radar as of 7:30, just to show you how quiet things are. I mean, there are some scattered showers around the Great Lakes. This is this front we're talking about, and a little bit of shower activity is starting to blossom out around northern Virginia toward the Washington D.C. Baltimore area. But everywhere west of the Mississippi, not a flake, not an ice pellet, nothing. And in South Florida, you got some showers and a few heavier downpours. But we're talking South Florida. Most of the state is seeing little or nothing. There's no pop-up shower or thunderstorm activity anywhere in the southeast or the Gulf states. You know, Joe, that's how when I lived down south, that's how you knew the summer was really over because you get to a certain point in the month of September where the daytime stuff just shuts off. And we're now at that point. The daytime heating from the sun to bubble up these scattered thunderstorms just doesn't have the punch, the strength to do it anymore. And this is what it looks. Normally, you get into even into the early part of September, you'd see all these look like it was freckled with showers and thunderstorms, tropical systems aside. But we're talking nothing, just all dead radars here.
Yeah, and it's not bad. I mean, like if you live down in that part of the country, I'm sure that they look forward
Oh, they're
to the
dancing in the
fall
streets.
and winter, and the fact that that heavy atmosphere that they deal with during the summer, chock filled with humidity and a shower or storm popping up literally at a moment's notice, all of that is now draining away. And this is the time of the year. Well, not right now, but in the next couple of months, that's this time of the year when you want to be down in the Florida Peninsula or the southeastern United States because it's still relatively mild or relatively warm, and that's where a lot of the folks up here like to flock in the
Yep.
wintertime to escape the cold.
And nobody likes it down there in the summertime when you can get a third-degree burn just by putting your hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah, it is true. It is
Yeah.
true.
So we're
Um,
just real quick. The last thing for tonight, just to show everybody, WPC in terms of rainfall. Now this is for 7 days, so this will cover whatever happens Sunday night and Monday because we're really not going to get very much of anything tonight in the Northeast. Maybe there might be upstate, somebody might wind up with a tenth of an inch or a little bit more. But with the system for Sunday night, Monday, and again for late Wednesday night, Joe, they're showing about a half to three quarters of an inch from New Jersey east across southern New England. And then, of course, you see the heavy precip again over Florida, several inches of rain over the next 7 days over the entire state of Florida. I'm sorry, over central and south Florida, but it cuts off sharply when you get up into the panhandle and the whole western part of the United States. Not a flake, not an ice pellet, nothing,
Nothing, nothing.
nothing.
The flaming forecast, if you live especially in California. I do
Correct.
want to mention on the chat board, Robert Brown says, "Hey Joe Rayo, how about that gorgeous Hunter's full moon last night?" Well, first of all, full moon is tonight. Number two, it's not the Hunter's moon. I know a lot of people equate October full moons with the Hunter's moon. This year, however, we have not one but two moons in October, and this first full moon tonight is actually the harvest full
Harvest
moon.
moon,
We'll have
shine
shine
on,
on
harvest
harvest moon.
moon.
We also have, besides that, if it is clear, and it looks like it's not going to be, but if it's clear, you might want to step outside at about 9:48 or 9:50, look over toward the south and southeast, and if you see a very fast-moving star-like object streaking across your line of sight from right to left, low in the southeastern sky, That is the rocket that is going to be launched this evening at 9:46 from Wallops Island, Virginia. That's taking 8,000 pounds of equipment and supplies up to the International Space Station, including, I might add, a brand new toilet.
Oh well, hey, you got to have one.
You got to have one. I
Yeah.
guess they had to. I guess they needed a replacement toilet up there, and they're getting one, courtesy of this rocket launch from Wallops Island. It goes again at 9:46, so 2 or 3 minutes after liftoff, it should be able to be visible low on the southeast horizon, or just above the southeast horizon here in the tri-state area, weather conditions permitting. And whenever we have something special, it never seems to want to permit. But I'm telling you now, that's the case for tonight.
Yes, indeed.
And if you go out tomorrow night and look right above the moon all through the night tomorrow night, you'll see a dazzling yellow orange star-like object, and that is not a star. It's the planet Mars making its closest approach to the Earth for the next 15 years, which is why it appears so dazzling. And tomorrow night, we will have the day after harvest full moon dancing along with the god of war in our nighttime sky.
Oh, very good. Getting
Indeed.
all poetic. That's very nice.
Yes.
So,
I
just a
expect right now, tonight, with all those clouds coming in, the moon is going to be a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas.
oh my,
Yes.
oh my,
Ah,
oh Shelley and Keats are just. I mean, they're just overwhelmed by all this. Of course, they're both dead, but what are we
yes.
gonna do?
Well,
All right, so let's just do a sick bay update. William Muber is out of sick bay. He's home and he's on the board somewhere, or at least he was earlier tonight. So we're glad that his issue was went through smoothly. The chairman is not here tonight. He's still dealing with all the stuff that he's dealing with. So with this whatever it is that he caught, that we know it's not COVID and it won't doesn't seem to want to go away. So of course we wish him well, and hopefully hopefully in another few days, hopefully each day he gets a little better, and that he'll be back to normal before you know it. So fingers crossed on that. I want to say hello to Alfred, our buddy Mr. Where is he? Alfred Phillips from Wainwright, Alaska. I almost said Alfred Wainwright of Phillips, Alaska. But then again, I'm 62. I'm going to be 62, so I have an excuse. And see, was there anything else? No, I think that pretty well covers it.
so now you'll be out tomorrow on your way down to, or on your way out to Ohio.
Yes, I will be. I'm on the road tomorrow. My mom is coming with me. Uh, she's going to be riding my new truck.
Let me tell you something. You're on tonight from your mom's house. Why don't you bring your mom on?
Oh, she's union. She won't come on unless she gets
Oh,
paid.
all right.
Her makeup artist didn't make it. You know how touchy stars can be. I don't know why. I told her she could, that I was going live, and she basically decided that I needed this room to be like a church, and she went upstairs to the second floor, and I haven't heard a peep out of her. She's probably watching Golden Girls or something
Well,
on.
maybe Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, she's a huge Wheel of Fortune fan.
So that's what she's probably
Yeah,
watching
no,
later.
she watches. Yeah, she watches Wheel of Fortune, and she watches it with an Italian accent. So.
All right, so we'll be back on Sunday with Joe and Joe from
Right. So
Long
next
Island.
2 days, no show next 2 days. We'll see you Sunday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time, and of course, this show will be up as a podcast in about an hour or so. So if you missed it, or you rather listen to it than watch it, you can do that by going to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any place that they call podcasts home, and just search Joe and Joe Weather Show, not ampersand, AND. All right. All right, Mr. Rayo. Have a good
whatever,
night.
whatever you lights your fire, Joe. We'll see you
Exactly.
on Sunday.
See you
Maybe on
on
Sunday you'll bring your daughter on.
see
Is
you
she
on
part of the
Sunday.
union?
My daughter will come on. Actually, my mother may be forced to come on Sunday because we may all be in like one room.
Oh, okay.
So that might.
That'll be fun.
Oh, sure. I will see you tomorrow.